Hello everyone, welcome to BrainPulley's ITIL Service Transition course based on 2011 syllabus. This is an introductory unit on service transition. I'm Sachin Chinskar. I'll be with you throughout this course. This course consists of 9 learning units. Hence, it is imperative for you to go through this unit before accessing the other 9 learning units. Even before we start with the course, we need to discuss a few things. We need to talk about registered trademarks and copyrights. Term ITIL is a registered trademark of Axelos Limited, and ITIL written in full, that is, IT Infrastructure Library, is also a registered trademark of Axelos Limited. The swirl logo is also a trademark of Axelos Limited. The OGC logo is also a registered trademark of Axelos Limited. In addition to this, all the course material which refers to ITIL diagrams and texts from the ITIL publication is reproduced under the Crown copyright with permission and license from Axelos Limited. We will first begin with objective of this unit, followed by some basic concepts which were discussed during ITIL Foundation training. This will include Introduction to ITIL, ITIL Intermediate Level, that is, Service Life Cycle and Service Capability. We will also differentiate between the two intermediate streams. This is followed by Service Transition course description and its objectives. Next, the target audience as to who can and should attend this course. Thereafter, we will learn about exam eligibility criteria and exam pattern, and some useful tips to help you achieve Service Transition Certificate. And then we will look at Service Transition course outline. Now in the next slide, we will look at the objective of this particular unit. The objective of this unit is to help you understand the outline of this course. What will be your takeaway from this course? Also make sure you are aware of the topics and subtopics covered in this course. Now let us begin with the introduction of ITIL. ITIL is the most widely used best practice framework for effective IT service management. ITIL recommends processes an organization can adopt and adapt to for better service management. ITIL advocates that IT services must be aligned to the needs of the business and underpin the core business processes. It provides guidance to organizations on how to use IT as a tool to facilitate business change, transformation, and growth. ITIL has evolved tremendously since its inception in late 1980s, keeping pace with the ever-evolving IT fraternity. Organizations today need to continue to meet customers' expectations by following processes which ensure consistency. These consistent repeatable processes are outlined in ITIL. Adopting ITIL can offer users a huge range of benefits that include improved IT services, reduced costs, improved customer satisfaction through a more professional approach to service delivery, improved productivity, improved use of skills and experience, improved delivery of third-party services. Now we will study more about ITIL towards the end of this unit. Now in the next slide, let's look at ITIL Intermediate Level, which is the second level consisting of a range of certifications. ITIL Intermediate is the next level after ITIL Foundation. ITIL Intermediate Level has a modular structure with each module holding a different focus. There are 2 streams in the intermediate level, the Service Lifecycle stream and the Service Capability stream. Which stream should you choose, or which stream will benefit you the most? Well, that's a call you have to make. Let us quickly look at the difference between 2 streams. Service Capability. Capability modules focus mainly on improvement and execution of existing processes. These courses cover input, output, activities, matrix, and concepts of each process. The target audience includes practitioners who execute daily activities of IT processes. Service lifecycle. The 5 lifecycle modules are inclined towards strategy and focus on implementing an entire lifecycle stage. In these courses, more emphasis is put on relationship between processes, roles, and responsibilities. The target audiences include IT managers, process owners. In these two streams, you can take as few or as many intermediate certifications as you require to suit your needs. The intermediate module go into more details than the foundation level and are industry recognized certification. All higher level ITIL examinations require a candidate to complete mandatory accredited training before being able to take the examination. In the next slide, we will look at the certification roadmap in achieving ITIL expert status and starting at ITIL Foundation qualification and the roadmap credit system. The ITIL qualification scheme provides a modular approach to the ITIL framework and is comprised of a series of qualifications focused on different aspects of ITIL best practice to various degrees of depth and detail. The modular tier structure of the qualification not only offers candidates the flexibility in relating to different disciplines and areas of ITIL, but generally makes ITIL qualification more accessible and achievable. To recognize the candidate investment in ITIL qualifications, credit system has been introduced to support the ITIL scheme. Upon successful completion and passing of a certificate exam, candidates will be awarded credits. The image in this slide is ITIL certification roadmap. This roadmap is based on credit systems. So let us quickly look at what are the number of credits one will be awarded upon successful completion of the certificate. ITIL Foundation is the first certification exam and holds 2 credits. Upon successful completion of ITIL Foundation certificate exam, candidates will be awarded 2 credits and they also become eligible for intermediate level where they can choose the stream of their choice. Lifecycle courses focus mainly upon ITSM implementation. Each lifecycle module exam will fetch 3 credits. Capability course focuses on daily process activities and each certificate exam will fetch 4 credits. A candidate can choose any module from each of the streams or can make a combination based upon their experience in the industry. Upon accumulating 17 credits, a candidate is eligible to appear for ITIL MALC exam, which is Managing Across Life Cycle. This certificate exam will fetch 5 credits, thus making a total of 22 credits. And for a candidate to become an ITIL expert, they should have 22 credits and should also clear ITIL MALC exam. In the next slide, we will look at ITIL Intermediate Service Lifecycle stream. The Service Lifecycle. The 5 lifecycle modules are inclined towards strategy and focus on implementing an entire lifecycle stage. In these courses, more emphasis is put on relationship between processes, roles, and responsibilities. The 5 different lifecycle stages within service lifecycle are Service Strategy, abbreviated as SS, Service Design, SD, Service Transition, ST, Service Operations, SO, and Continual Service Improvement, CSI. Each one addresses capabilities having direct impact on a service provider's performance. The core is expected to provide structure, stability, and strength to the service management capabilities, with durable principles, methods, and tools. This serves to protect investments and provide the necessary basis for measurement, learning, and improvement. In the next slide, we will look at ITIL Intermediate Level Service Capability Stream. Service Capability. Capability modules focus mainly on improvement and execution of existing processes. These courses cover input-output activities, matrix, and concepts of each process. The target audience includes practitioners who execute daily activities of IT processes. There are 4 modules in service capability, which are Operational Support and Analysis, abbreviated as OSA, Release Control and Validation, RCV, Planning Protection and Optimization, PPO, Service Offering and Agreements, SOA. In the next slide, we will look at ITIL MALC, which is Managing Across Life Cycle. The ITIL Managing Across Life Cycle qualification is a capstone qualification, which is the final required module that a candidate must take prior to achieving ITIL Expert Certificate. The learning outcomes of MALC module are intended to bring a candidate from ITIL content knowledge to ITIL content application and integration knowledge, and to provide skills that can be used in the workplace in a tangible way. We have already discussed the credit point system for MALC. However, just to mention, ITIL MALC gives you 5 credits. That has been a basic introduction of ITIL. Now let us just focus on ITIL OSA course description and objectives in the next slides. The ITIL Intermediate Qualification Service Transition Certificate is a freestanding qualification, but is also part of the ITIL Intermediate Service Lifecycle stream, and one of the modules that leads to the ITIL Expert Certificate in IT Service Management. The purpose of this training module and the associated exam and certificate is to impart, test, and validate the knowledge on industry practices in service management as documented in the ITIL Service Transition publication. The course syllabus covers the management level concepts and core information of the activities and techniques within service transition, but not specific details about each of the supporting processes. In the next slide, we will look at the objective of service transition course. This qualification provides a complete management level overview of service transition, including all its related activities. The candidates can expect to gain competencies upon successful completion of the education and examination components relating to this certification. The competencies are Introduction to Service Transition Principles, Service Transition Processes, Managing People through Service Transition, Organizing for Service Transition, Technology Consideration, Implementing and Improving Service Transition, and the challenges, critical success factors, and risks within service transition. In addition, the training for this certification should include examination preparation, including a mock examination opportunity, which will be supplied to you towards the end of the course. In the next slide, we will look at the eligibility criteria to take up the service transition exam. To be eligible for the examination leading to the ITIL Operational Support and Analysis Certificate, the candidate must fulfill the following criteria. That is, at least 30 contact hours of instruction, excluding breaks with an accredited training organization or an accredited e-learning solution for this syllabus as a part of a formal approved training course or scheme. There is no minimum mandatory requirement, but to 2 to 4 years professional experience working in IT service management is highly desirable. The candidate must hold ITIL Foundation Certificate in IT Service Management or ITIL Version 2 Foundation plus the Bridge Certificate exam. It is also recommended that students should complete a minimum of 12 hours of personal study by reviewing the syllabus and the pertinent areas of ITIL Service Management Practice Core Guidance publications, and in particular the Service Operations publication. In the following slides, we will look at the exam pattern and the tips to attain the OSA certificate. Service transition is relevant to organizations involved in the development, delivery, or support of services, including service providers, both internal and external. Also for organizations that aim to improve services through the effective application of service management and service lifecycle processes to improve their service quality. Organizations that require a consistent managed approach across all service providers in a supply chain or value network. Organizations that are going out to tender for their services. The publication is also relevant to IT service managers and to all those working in service transition or areas supporting the objective of service transition, which includes staff working in programs and projects who are responsible for delivering new or changed services and the service environment, transition managers and staff, testing managers and testing practitioners, including test environment and test data managers and librarians, quality assurance managers, service asset and configuration management staff, change management staff, release and deployment management staff, procurement staff, relationship managers, and supplier managers, supplier delivering services, support, training, etc. In the next slide, we will look at the exam pattern. The pattern of this exam is 8 multiple choice scenario based questions. Each question will have 4 possible options, one of which is 5 marks, one of the 4 is 3 marks, another one is of 1 mark, and one of them is a distractor which will fetch no marks. Duration of this exam is 90 minutes, which is 1 hour 30 minutes. In order to be eligible to take up this exam, the candidate must have an ITIL Foundation certificate or ITIL V2 certificate and 1 bridge exam. This will be a closed book exam and the candidate needs to score 28 on 40, which is 70% to achieve this certificate. Next slide is the exam tip. In this slide are some exam tips. Please go through them and implement them. Next is the agenda of this entire module. Now let me give you an overview of all the learning units in this course. Whatever we did so far was the introduction unit 1. Now let us quickly look at the agenda of the entire course. Unit 2. This learning unit covers the purpose, goals, objectives, and scope of service transition, and the business value of service transition activities. It covers the context of service transition in the ITIL service lifecycle and the inputs and outputs of service transition. Unit 3. This learning unit covers more focused aspect of the basic guiding principles of service transition. Specific to this unit are key policies and principles that enable the implementation of service transition best practice. This chapter describes the key policies and principles that will enable service providers to plan and implement service transition best practice. These principles are the same irrespective of the organization. However, the same approach may need be tailored to circumstances, including size, distribution, culture, and resources. Every service provider should agree and document policies that are appropriate for the circumstances. Endorsement and visible support from senior management contribute to the overall effectiveness. Each policy is explicitly stated and its suggested application and approach are illustrated by applicable principles and best practices that help an organization to deliver that principle. Unit 4. This unit sets out the processes and activities on which effective service transition depends. These comprise both life cycle processes and those almost wholly contained within service transition. Each is described in detail, setting out the key elements of that process or activity. The processes discussed in this unit are transition planning and support, change management, service asset and configuration management, release and deployment management, service validation and testing, change evaluation, and knowledge management. Some of these processes are used throughout the service lifecycle, but they are addressed in this publication since they are central to effective service transition. Unit 5. This learning unit introduces a high-level view of the communications and stakeholder management activities which support service transition. The topics include managing communications, commitment, organizational change, and stakeholder change. It covers the aspect of organizational roles and responsibilities, along with how to plan and implement organizational change, methods, practices, and techniques relating to assessing organizational readiness for and monitoring progress of organizational change is also covered. Unit 6. This learning unit explores roles, responsibilities, and organizational structure that are appropriate with its service transition. Service transition roles and responsibilities are reviewed along with the organizational context of service transition. Everything is tied together with a review of the relationship of service transition with other lifecycle phases. Unit 7. This learning unit covers technology consideration for service transition. Technology's role in service transition is explored, as well as how it should be designed in and the mechanisms for maintaining and maximizing benefit from the technology. A range of tools are reviewed from enterprise-wide tools through to more specific ITSM, that is, IT Service Management Technology and Support tools. Unit 8 covers the implementation and improvement of service transition in an organization. And in Unit 9, we will cover the challenges and critical success factors that service transition faces and how risk mitigation contributes to effective service transition. Let us quickly look at the basics of ITIL and understand service, types of services, service management, types of services provider, and suppliers. The Information Technology Infrastructure Library is a set of practices for IT service management that focuses on aligning IT services with the business needs. In its current form, ITIL is published in a series of 5 core publications, each of which covers an ITSM lifecycle stage. ITIL describes processes, procedures, tasks, and checklists that are not organization-specific, used by an organization for establishing integration with the organization strategies, delivering value, and maintaining a minimum level of competency. It allows the organization to establish a baseline from which it can plan, implement, and measure. It is used to demonstrate compliance and to measure improvement. In the next slide, we will look at the definition of service. As per guidance by Cabinet Office, the definition of service is a means of delivering value to the customer by facilitating outcomes customer wants to achieve without the ownership of specific cost and risks. Services facilitates outcome by having a positive effect on activities, objects, and tasks to create conditions for better performance. As a result, the probability of desired outcomes is higher. Customer outcomes become the ultimate concern of business relationship managers, instead gathering of requirements, which is necessary but not sufficient. Requirements are generated for internal coordination and control only after customer outcomes are well understood. The service provider bears the specific cost and risk and is responsible of facilitating outcomes by the provision of services. Customers seek outcomes but do not wish to have accountability or ownership of all the associated costs and risks. Customer enjoys the outcome upon achieving value. In the next slide, we will learn about different types of services and how services categorize into different ways. Services can be discussed in terms of how they relate to one another and their customers and can be classified as core, enabling, and enhancing services. Core services deliver the basic outcomes desired by one or more customers. They represent the value that the customer wants and for which they are willing to pay. Core services anchor the value proposition for the customer and provide the basis for the continued utilization and satisfaction. For example, you are an IT service company and you are providing email services to a customer. They will become the core services for the customer. The enabling services are that services which are needed in order for a core service to be delivered. Enabling services may or may not be visible to the customer, but the customer does not perceive them as services in their own right. They are basic factors which enable the customer to receive the real service, which here is the core service. In this example, storage, email client, connectivity will become factors which will make your email service available. Storage, email client, connectivity contribute together to form your email services, and hence they are known as enabling services. In layman's term, enabling services can be described as services which help you deliver the core service. Then we have the third type, which is enhancing services. Enhancing services are those services which are needed to deliver a core service to make it more exciting or enticing to the customer. Enhancing services are not essential to the delivery of core service and are added to a core service as excitement factors, which will encourage customers to use the core service more or to choose the core service provided by one company over those of its competitors. In the next slide, we will quickly look at what is service management and what is IT service management. Service management is a set of specialized organizational capabilities for providing value to customers in the form of services. Organizational capabilities are shaped by the challenges they are expected to overcome. Service management is more than just a set of capabilities. It is also a professional practice supported by an extensive body of knowledge, experience, and skills. A global community of individuals and organizations in the public and private sectors fosters its growth and maturity. Formal schemes exist for the education, training, and certification of practicing organizations, and individuals influence its quality. Industry best practices, academic research, and formal standards contribute and draw from its intellectual capital. Information technology service management, the implementation of management of quality IT services that meets the needs of the business. IT service management is performed by IT service providers through an appropriate mix of people, process, and information technology. The origins of service management are in traditional service businesses such as airlines, banks, hotels, and phone companies. Its practice has grown with the adoption by IT organization of a service-oriented approach to managing IT applications, infrastructure, and processes. Solutions to business problems and support for business models, strategies, and operations are increasingly in the form of services. The popularity of shared services and outsourcing has contributed to the increase in the number of organizations that behave as service providers, including internal IT organizations. This in turn has strengthened the practice of service management while at the same time imposed greater challenges. Information technology is a commonly used term that changes meaning depending on the different perspectives that a business organization or people may have of it. A key challenge is to recognize and balance these perspectives when communicating the value of IT service management and understanding the context for how the business sees the RT organization. In the next slide, we will look at types or categories of service providers. An organization supplying services to one or more internal customers or external customers is known as a service provider. Service provider is often used as a short form for IT service provider. Every IT organization should act as a service provider, using the principles of service management to ensure that they deliver the outcome required by their customers. IT service management must be carried out effectively and efficiently. Managing IT from the business perspective enables organizational high performance and value creation. There are three main types of service providers. While most aspects of service management apply equally to all types of service provider, other aspects such as customer, contracts, competition, market spaces, revenue, and strategy take on different meanings depending on the specific type. Internal service provider. An internal service provider that is embedded within a business unit. There may be several types of service provider within an organization. A shared services unit. It is an internal service provider that provides shared IT services to more than one business unit. Then we have external service provider. So, an external service provider is that one provides IT services to external customers who are external to the organization. IT service management concepts are often described in the context of only one of these types and as if only one type of IT service provider exists or is used by a given organization. In reality, most organizations have a combination of IT service providers. In a single organization, it is possible that some IT units are dedicated to a single business unit. Others provide shared services, and yet others have been outsourced or depending on external service providers. Many IT organizations who traditionally provide services to internal customers find that they are dealing directly with external users because of the online services that they provide. In the next slide, we will discuss about suppliers who play an integral part in delivering a particular service and thereby delivering value to the customer. The third party is responsible for supplying goods or services that are required to deliver IT services. Examples of suppliers include commodity hardware and software vendors, network and telecom providers, and outsourcing organizations. As stated earlier, suppliers play an important role in providing services and thereby delivering value to the customer. A process is a set of coordinated activities, combining and implementing resources and capabilities in order to produce an outcome, which directly or indirectly creates value for an external customer or stakeholders. Process define actions, dependencies, and sequence. Well-defined processes can improve productivity within and across organizations and functions. A process is organized around a set of objectives. The main outputs from the process should be driven by the objectives and should include process measurements, reports, and process improvement. The output produced by a process has to conform to operational norms that are derived from business objectives. If products conform to set norm, the process can be considered effective because it can be repeated, measured, and managed and achieves the required outcome. If the activities of the process are carried out with the minimum use of resources, the process can also be considered efficient. Inputs are data or information used by the process and may be the output from another process. A process or an activity within a process is initiated by a trigger. A trigger may be the arrival of an input or other event. For example, the failure of a server may trigger the event management and incident management processes. A process may include any of the roles, responsibilities, tools, and management controls required to deliver the outputs reliably. A process may define policies, standards, guidelines, activities, and work instructions if they are needed. Process once defined should be documented and controlled. Once under control, they can be repeated and managed. In the next slide, we will look at the characteristics of a process. Now we already know the definition of a process, which is a process is a set of coordinated activities combining and implementing resources and capabilities in order to produce an outcome which directly or indirectly creates value for an external customer or stakeholders. Process define actions, dependencies, and sequence. A well-defined process can improve productivity within an organization and functions. There are 4 characteristics of a process which have been defined in this particular course. These characteristics are measurable. A process is measurable. Measurability, we are able to measure the process in a relevant manner. It is performance driven. Managers want to measure cost, quality, and other variables which practitioners are concerned with, duration and productivity. Then we have a process delivers specific results. The reason a process exists is to deliver a specific result. The result may be individually identifiable and countable. Then we have a process has customers. Every process delivers its primary result to a customer or stakeholders. Customer may be internal or external to the organization, but the process must meet their expectation. Then we have a process responds to a specific trigger. While a process may be ongoing or iterative, it should be traceable to a specific trigger. In the next slide, we will look at definition of functions and what are different types of functions within service management concept. A function is a team or group of people and the tools or other resources they use to carry out one or more processes or activities. In larger organizations, a function may be broken out and performed by several departments, teams, and groups, or it may be embodied within a single organizational unit. A perfect example is the service desk. In smaller organization, one person or group can perform multiple functions. For example, a technical management department could also be incorporated within the service desk function. For service lifecycle to be successful, an organization will need to clearly define the roles and responsibilities required to undertake the processes and activities involved in each lifecycle stage. These roles will need to be assigned to individuals, and an appropriate organization structure of teams, groups, or functions will need to be established and managed. In the next slide, we will look at the definition of roles. A role is a set of responsibilities, activities, and authorities granted to a person or team. A role is defined in a process or function. One person or team may have multiple roles. For example, the roles of configuration manager and change manager may be carried out by a single person. A number of roles need to be performed during the service life cycle. The core ITIL publication provides guidelines and examples of role descriptions. These are not exhaustive or prescriptive, and in many cases roles will need to be combined or separated. Organizations should take care to apply this guidance in a way that suits their own structure and objectives. This marks the end of our introductory module. Let us quickly recap everything we did. We studied the objective of this module, understood ITIL and ITIL Intermediate. Then we also understood the objective of service transition. We also looked at the basics of ITIL in terms of service management, categories of services, service providers and suppliers. We also understood the definition of a process and also looked at its characteristics. We also defined functions and roles. Along with this, we also studied the exam pattern and eligibility criteria of this particular course.